Hey, it's Mike from the Run Testers. In this video, we're going to be talking about a new heart rate monitor. This is the Polar Verity Sense. Now, the Verity Sense is for someone who doesn't really get on with wearing a chest strap monitor, but doesn't trust the wrist or the monitoring that they're getting from their watch on their wrist. So essentially, the Sense will live higher up on your arm, improve that reliability in terms of data and that accuracy, and the promise is to get you something comparable to what you get on a chest strap monitor. So myself, Nick and Kieran have been using the Verity Sense, kind of looking to it to the sessions that we would normally use or look to for heart rate monitoring and that reliability and data, to see how it gets on and really to see whether you should buy it. So yeah, here's our take on the Polar Verity Sense. Okay, so what is a Polar Verity Sense? How does it work, and where does it sit in Polar's existing range of devices? Now, the Verity Sense is very similar to what we got on the OH1 and OH1 Plus that has launched the last couple of years from Polar. You're getting this kind of small sensor that sits inside of this strap that you can kind of wear higher up on your kind of arm or on your bicep, and it uses optical-based, light-based sensor technology, so similar to what you can get from your watch and what they had in the OH1 and OH1 Plus. Now, the idea and the kind of science behind moving it further up the arm is that you're creating an environment where you can improve that accuracy and get something closer to what a chest strap monitor can deliver. Now, Polar does recommend that when you're using this, that you wear it on your less dominant arm. So if you're left-handed, wear it on your right arm, and essentially that will give it the best opportunity, the best environment to make sure you get the most reliable accuracy. So in terms of features, you've got Bluetooth and ANT+ connectivity, which kind of opens the array of devices you can connect the Verity Sense to. You've got 20 hours of battery off a single charge, 600 hours of internal memory to kind of store your training sessions on the device itself. A couple of things to highlight on the strap itself. It is machine washable, which is a nice thing. You can chuck it in with your running clothes. The little piece of plastic here that holds the sensor on your arm essentially in place. Now, Polar says that this can actually work as an antenna for Bluetooth, ultimately to improve the kind of transmission of that connectivity, the range of it. So it says 150 meters improvement with that casing, which you didn't have on the OH1. So yeah, those are the kind of key headline features with the Verity Sense.
I found it perfectly comfortable to run with once it was on. That said, there is one thing that I wasn't really keen on, and that modification of the strap is basically makes it very hard and fiddly to get this thing on your arm. What you've got here is a little clasp that hooks through, and there's a Velcro attachment here. But this bit here has to stay in place. You can't, as should be sort of done in my opinion, wrap that round and Velcro it there. So when you're putting it on, you almost have to use this slider to work out exactly how big your forearm is, or your bicep, then put it on, close it, and you're kind of working as a bit of guesswork. And that makes it a really, really fiddly thing to do to put it on. You can't then sort of slide this kind of thing, the cincher, when it's on your arm, because you need two arms to do that, two hands. So you're guessing, and it makes it very, very fiddly to put it on. The other thing to say, I think this is just a form factor thing in and around the OH1 and the Verity Sense. It's very hard to wear it kind of under base layers and under jackets. So you got it on your forearm, you got your jacket on, some jackets got tight sleeves, they don't sort of roll up very easily. So once you sort of put this on, put your layers on, and then you're stuck with it. That means that the other thing that comes into play here is switching it on. So you switch it on, so you can get heart rate, or you can change the mode here. Swimming, heart rate paired to a watch, or tracking on its own. That makes it infinitely more easy than the OH1, where you were sort of guessing. You were using this light and a series of coloured beats of the light and colours to work out which mode you were in. That is a vast improvement. It makes it so much easier to work out which mode you're operating in. But then you've still got to flip it over, put your base layers on, and go and run. What that means actually, in terms of sort of getting prepped for a run, is you're often putting this, especially in winter, it means that this starts to track before you actually go out for the run. So you're going to get segments of data that aren't part of the actual performance data. You can edit them in Polar Flow, but that is also a little bit of a sort of downside compared to something like a chest strap, which obviously fires once you start the tracking on the watch. Overall, I think sort of comfortable enough. There are some sort of, the strap isn't nicely designed in terms of, the fabric's nice and soft, and I found that very comfortable on the wrist, no problem with that. It's just a bit fiddly to put on. I think Polar's got it a little bit wrong with this fold over Velcro strap. I wish it sort of just Velcroed to the whole strap so you could tighten it when it's on the arm. So a couple of other things that I really liked. I love the fact that it pairs direct with Polar Flow, so you can track a workout just with this without taking your phone or using a watch, and it will pair directly after the session with Polar Flow, and you get your heart rate stats there. Obviously you won't get any distance or any GPS information as that, it just does heart rate, but that's a step forward. The other thing that I'm not so sure about is it's very hard. I can't see where you get the battery life indicator from, so that's something that you're never really quite sure how much battery's left on it. That was for me anyway. I haven't sussed it out. Michael, the other boys might have.
So when it came to running, starting with the design, I didn't really have any complaints about the Verity Sense. It's a, it's a comfortable tracker. I found this adjustable strap a little bit confusing, but that's probably just me being a bit thick, and it turned out to be rough, pretty much the size to fit on my bicep anyway, so I just pulled it on and have done so ever since. So far I've paired it to my Apple Watch, which is on the same arm, and it paired very easily, even though I was, messing around with the different modes, but yeah, it pairs fine. And even under a couple of a base layer and a jacket, I had no problems with connectivity on my long run. So far I've done 4 activities with the Verity Sense. The first thing I did was a hill session where I was doing kind of long hill reps, so kind of 3 minutes uphill, and then obviously jog back down. And I was really impressed. I was just doing spot checks against a Garmin Fenix connected to a Garmin HRM Pro chest strap. And throughout that session, my spot check showed that the Verity Sense was within a couple of beats actually of the chest strap, even when really pushing uphill and hitting kind of max HR and then coming back down quickly. And the graphs matched up quite nicely afterwards as well. Then on the long steady run I did, again, just regular spot checks, always was very close to the reading from a chest strap, and graphs are fine, average and max, very close to each other. Really good enough that I'd be happy using it as my main training HR monitor. And today I used it for a kind of strength workout and then an indoor cycling session, and it wasn't quite as good. There were a few more when I was really going up and down with heart rate in the strength session, depending on the exercise I was doing. I wasn't doing HIIT by any means, but some exercises are harder than others, and it was spiking a little bit and coming down a little bit more slowly than a chest strap. But overall, again, the graph was pretty good, average was pretty good. And then the cycling again was a steady session where it was absolutely fine, right next to a chest strap reading. But when I just pushed for a quick sprint interval just to see how quickly it rose in line with my heart rate, you can see very noticeable lag from the Verity Sense compared to a chest strap, which is just optical heart rate monitors. They're not as fast at catching that kind of sudden spike as a chest strap is. But it wasn't too far behind. Again, overall the accuracy was there. Matched up with the readings from a chest strap in terms of the max and average, more or less. I wouldn't have any problems really using this as my main heart rate monitor, I guess is what I'm saying, despite the fact it's still not quite up there with the chest strap.
For my run test, I did a 1 hour slow and steady, very, very low and slow sort of paced run, and put that to the test. I also did a sort of combination of half an hour progression run with 3 miles, where every mile getting slowly faster, and also a bunch of half an hour bunch of sort of intervals. I did sort of 5 times 400 meters with a couple of 100 meters jog recovery between, just to test out how it reacted to nice, slow, steady, and also those quick changes in pace. I wore it on my forearm, and I wore it up against a Garmin HRM Pro chest strap. Overall, the averages came out pretty much bang on. The Garmin read about 2 beats higher in terms of the top spike and the averages overall. So the Verity Sense did really well on that front. It matched it sort of close beat to beat. And then when you look at the sort of the charts and the breakdowns, actually in terms of those sort of surges and spikes, the Verity Sense was really good on picking up those sort of quick changes in pace, as good as the HRM Pro. There was none of the sort of lag or delay that you might get, or I've seen with actually some of the Polar sort of wrist-based optical heart rate sensors that come in some of the watches. It was nicely responsive, and that is a good thing actually.
Okay, so running performance for me, it was generally fine. I tried wearing it both kind of areas, so on the forearm and up on the bicep, and I didn't have any really major issues in terms of it being uncomfortable. I think similar with what Kieran said in terms of, I think this Velcro part needs to kind of come round a little bit more and give you more of a range of a fit, but generally the fit was okay for me, but that's something to keep in mind. In terms of the accuracy now, I did a few runs and I also did just kind of a home workout as well to see how it sat with there, and that from that point of view. In those runs now, because you have to kind of set this up before everything else, when you're tracking, it would pick up a little bit of your session before you start get moving or running. But the session that it did capture, so like a long kind of run for me, Sunday run, the data, wasn't identical, but it was kind of, within the kind of margin of error that I would be happy with. The graph seemed to match up as well. I did some shorter runs as well. I also did kind of a home workout, and that compared to a chest strap, a Garmin HRM Pro chest strap, which I use for the run testing as well, it was pretty much spot on actually in terms of accuracy. So generally for me, it was really kind of solid across the board really in terms of the data, in terms of the fit, the comfort, and I was generally pretty impressed with what I found with the Verity Sense.
So my verdict on the Verity Sense then, well, I think this is, like the OH1, this is a really versatile alternative to a chest strap. If you really don't like chest straps, then this is a viable option. You are getting pretty accurate data from this, although if you want full sort of confidence in your accurate data, I'd still go chest strap. But if you can't abide a chest strap, then this is a good option. It runs sort of well on the wrist. It feels sort of comfortable. I love the fact that you can move it between sort of zones. If you dip into the water as well, go for a bit of swim, you can move it to the goggle strap as well and get heart rate readings from the temple. So you've got extra versatility there. I do like the fact that they've improved this kind of lighting system on the back so you can see which modes it's in. It makes it much easier to record a workout with just the Verity Sense, no phone, no watch, knowing that that's actually happening and you're not running and not getting data, which did happen a few times for us with the OH1. It is a bit fiddly to put on. I think Polar has got it wrong with the strap here. I think if they change that, it would actually be much better. You just want to be able to pull it and tighten it on the arm and on the bicep as well, on the forearm and the bicep, just to make that nice and simple.
In general, I don't really have any problems wearing a heart rate chest strap, but I do like an arm strap. I do think they're a little bit more convenient, mostly actually in the spring, summer and autumn. In the winter right now, I'm obviously putting on a base layer with like a long sleeve, and if I forget to put this on, it's obviously a bit of a faff to take that off again and then put this on. Also, if I forget to turn it on and connect it before I put that base layer on, I'm kind of guessing, pressing the button. Whereas with a chest strap, actually, it's easier to lift up a top and put it on if you have forgotten it. But in general, I do like an arm strap. I find them very comfortable. I don't really get on with wrist heart rate monitors. They're never that accurate for me. Certainly not accurate enough for what I want from my training. So yeah, this is a really good option, and it's it's a little upgrade on the OH1. Presuming it's got a similar price to the OH1, then it's worth paying for the Verity Sense, just for those extra features, things like the light, the better battery, the better range. It's a very good little tracker. It's comfortable, it's nice. There's other armbands I've tried. I like this more than the Wahoo Ticker arm, which has not a very nice strap that I found started to degrade and didn't really get on with being used regularly for running, I found, even after a few months, although it was pretty accurate. And then the only other one I've tried is the Whoop, which obviously has a slightly different purpose, but you can just use it as an arm heart rate monitor and connect it to your Garmin, which is what I have been doing to test its accuracy. And the Whoop isn't as accurate as this. It's had some real problems for me. So yeah, this is a pretty accurate device. It's better than the wrist monitor. It's not as good as a chest strap, but if you don't like chest straps, and a lot of people don't, it's a more convenient option that's going to give you almost as much accuracy. And it's probably, I'd say, the best arm strap that I've tried.
Okay, so my verdict on the Polar Verity Sense. Now, I've tested all of the heart rate monitoring armbands over the last few years, and I would probably put the Verity Sense probably at the top, actually. And I would say that for a few things. The form factor, for one, I like the fact that it's a little bit smaller than what you get on the Wahoo and the Scosche heart rate monitoring armbands. I prefer this strap. I think it's kind of like, nice. It's definitely an improvement on what we got on the OH1 and OH1 Plus. The new kind of UI elements where you can kind of see what modes you're in is a really nice touch. From an accuracy point of view, I think it's pretty similar to what I've got on those other armbands, which mean, they have been better than what I've got from a watch. I don't have a problem wearing a chest strap, a bit like Nick, but I think if you wanted an armband and you wanted one for accuracy for running, this would be a good option to look at. Now, if you're thinking about whether you upgrade to the from this to the from the OH1 Plus, you know, it's things like you're getting extra kind of memory, you're getting a little bit more in terms of battery life, you're getting that kind of dual kind of Bluetooth connectivity support, that extra antenna kind of range as well. And I think for the extra £10 that you're kind of paying for the Verity Sense, I think it's worth paying that extra bit of money just for a nicer design, a nicer kind of fit. And you're still getting that same kind of reliability that you will get on the OH1 and OH1 Plus. Okay, so there you have it. That is our take on the Polar Verity Sense. If you have any questions about our testing, let us know in the comments. As always, like and subscribe, ring the little bell wherever that is to find out about the new videos. And yeah, we'll see you for the next Run Testers video.